Today, Danny Negus at Devonshire Park joins us in the sunshine there down in Eastbourne. Danny, good to see you, fella. How's things?
Very good, thank you, mine. Yeah, very good. And like you say, the sun's out, so we're happy.
Well, from what I can see from here, it's looking good down there. Are you getting ready for your biggest thing of the year and the second biggest grass court tournament in the world?
Exactly. Although Queens might now want to have a debate about that, but you know we can do that offline. No, we're starting to really ramp up now and looking forward to it, because ultimately this is what you do: create a playing surface to play on. So yeah, really looking forward to this season.
We're very close now to it. Are things where you want it to be?
I think, look, you ask any groundsman, head groundsman, they're never happy. There's always something that they find is not quite right. But I think you sort of reach an age where you think it's pointless keep saying I'll never get it. You got to be content with where you are. And I think all things considered, with the challenges of last year and that knock-on effect, so the hangover of that, I think we're in a good place. And you know, I'm very proud of the lads. They've been brilliant this year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I think last time we were down, you were kind of in the process or had just installed some new courts. How did that go?
So all construction went well. As probably mentioned before, the construction's very different to our native soil. So it's about learning new nuances with the areas and how they're reacting to what Mother Nature throws at us. But things are settling in. We're learning. The courts are starting to learn to us and what we want them to do. So like I keep saying, we're all right. But the biggest challenge for us was all the financial aspects. So we're relatively happy, Martin. Relatively happy.
So without getting too much detail on the financial side, did you find that the goalposts moved, or was it becoming a more expensive project than you envisaged?
Well, no, I think it's well documented. You know, look, we're local authority ultimately, and all local authorities were facing financial pressures. And for us here in Eastbourne, we were one of the few that were looking at potential, what they call Section 114, which is bankruptcy. So that was a big change for us, because we're a non-statutory service. I mean, it's not statutory that you have to provide international grass courts as a local authority. So we were effectively on stop. And that's the first time in my career that I've gone a season and a half with no renos. And you know, to go to the likes of the LTA, the All England Grass Support Group, and you know, cap in hand and saying, look, you've really got to step in and help. And in fairness, you know, they did help. They heard my cries of help, and you know, we had some help, but it wasn't nice. I will say it wasn't nice, and that's where we've got some of the hangover.
So what kind of things could they do to help you? Was it financial help, or was it machinery, services?
Yeah, it was financial. So ultimately, all stop, as I say, was on renos. So we couldn't do any renovations at all. And through the support group, we were able to secure top dressing and some seed. But, you know, with all these things, it's no one's fault, but they take such time to actually move. You miss your window, and our window, like every other commercial sport, that window of renovation is getting so small that if you miss it, or Mother Nature doesn't help, you're just left in limbo. And that's where we've been. So like I say, we've had to change everything we've done. We've done a lot more spring renos where I never normally would do that for risk of the surface performance. but we've tried to embrace this and said, look, it's out of our control. Let's look at this as a learning opportunity, and who knows, we may actually get something come out of this, even if it's by failure or success. And I think all in all, to answer the very first question, I'm happy with where we are. I am, all things considered, because it's been tough, mate.
Danny, you mentioned that, not only are you learning about those new courts, but they're learning about you. Can you give us a bit of detail on how you have to manage them differently to the rest of the surfaces?
So the newly constructed ones have a lot higher percentage of clay at a greater depth. So as an example, our native courts here or native soils, they're on bedrock. It starts to be blended, so that means the soil profile is going from sandy to more silts to clay, where our constructive ones are, they're essentially on a huge cricket wicket. So they're on a gravel raft, then you've just got clay at 22% clay. And then what that's doing is it effectively becomes like an elastic band, because they stay colder longer, they stay wetter longer, then they go drier longer, and then all of a sudden, like an elastic band, you let go of it and it just catches everything else up. How would I best describe it? They're not the most enjoyable to maintain, but they certainly perform extremely well. So, at the end of the day, as I said before, we're producing a playing surface, and that's all that really matters. Do they play well?
Construction's obviously different. Are you using a different seed mix or anything?
No. So all top dressings, seeds, fertilizer, so nutritional programs, exactly the same. The only sort of difference, I mean, it's probably well documented, I'm very big on liquid feeding here. I mean, we're pretty much 95 upwards of liquid only. The high clay content does mean it slightly reacts different. So I have actually seen an increase in granular usage just to try and stop the peak and trough of what liquid feeding can do. That's peak of, high amounts of nutrients to all of a sudden losing it. But they're probably our biggest difference, and trying to keep the profile open. The space, the airspace between them particles through clay, you need to keep them open to allow airflow and moisture flow.
Danny, I mean, that was quite a big project for you over the last couple of years. Have you got anything else planned coming up, or are the financial constraints and handcuffs still very much on?
Yeah, they're very much still in place. But there are murmurings, which I'm hopeful that, given in a couple of years, that I'll be happy to talk about. But right now, the shackles are on, I'm afraid.
So, weeks away from your big event, that place changes dramatically over the coming weeks with temporary stands and etc. being built. How are you looking forward to what you've been building essentially getting trashed over 2 weeks?
No, I'm not looking forward to it. Yeah, I mean, it is a bit of a heartbreak. Some areas you have it ornamentally, looks lovely, it's ready for play. And then you have trade stands going on top of it. You have stands for the spectators, and then you have just a footfall of thousands across it. So it's a worrying time, but it's what you do it for. And then, we just pick up the pieces when this one's finished and then get ready for the county final. So I'm not looking forward to it, but it is part and parcel of it, so you just got to get on with it.
So you're going to have to get a bit more creative around how you get ready for the counties and get the place back in as good a shape as you can for that with the financial constraints.
Yeah, so I think when it's funny actually, because when you start, obviously your priorities, like everyone has, corporate priorities, and for us it will be the Open this year. But it's actually about the longevity of the season, because what we ultimately want is people playing high level tennis for as long as practicably possible. So what we tend to do now is we want everything peaking for the Open, but then what we want is enough resilience within the plant, within the surface, that it will maintain that high level throughout the season, so that come September at the very end, it's just about on its last legs, and then we can hopefully, with financial backing, rip it up and start again. So that's the biggest difference. It used to be about just one, but now it's about that resilience for the whole season.
So how are you going to get it back in shape then, Danny? You didn't answer the question, mate.
Well, that's the secret, isn't it? I mean, to be honest with you, the key is in plant and soil health. If you can get soil health and the plant health, as long as they're right and happy, that's how we can actually maintain the stability for it. Yeah. So I always say, Martin, it's nutrition and then moisture management is what separates people.
I think one of the things I've learned about you over the years, Dan, is you like to do things a little bit differently anyway. You like to try different things. Is there anything you've tried over the past year, particularly with the circumstances you had, that maybe has stood out as being, that's surprising that was as effective, or oh cripes?
It's a really good question, and it's a tough one, because actually for what we're doing, it's a bit of a cliche, but the less resources you have, the more resourceful you become by design. And we have found that what we're doing is making better use of what we have. So that's certain practices, but the big change, the big one this year, has been all about people. Not about so much what we do here, it's about how we're looking after each other at Devonshire Park during a time that really goes against your professional pride, your ambition. So it's really been about well-being. That's been the big one for us.
Have you had to lose anybody through those tough times, or have you managed to keep your team intact?
No, so far we've kept everyone with us, which is great news, because, as I said, that people are the most important. So you know yourself, in any industry, as soon as financial constraints hit, the easiest way to look at resolution on that is staff reduction. But we're very pleased that we haven't faced that. We're very pleased that everyone has kept upbeat during this, and looking forward to this year. So we've worked hard on that, and rightfully so.
I guess the fear must be, is if you lost somebody, that you wouldn't be allowed to replace them, though.
Well, you won't. That's clear. There is no authority to recruit. They effectively stopped all overtime. So all your work has to be done within your core hours. So this is what you lose a lot, because obviously if you're going to work beyond your core hours and you're going to work beyond your extended 5 days, normally you achieve a lot more. So if you can't do that, there's a lot of professional pride that you have to swallow up, which is a real shame. But I'm really hopeful that we're turning that curve. The LTA, got to say, have supported me well this year for the event. So we're taking on more for this event, more responsibilities, and collectively the team will raise during the Open to over 20 here. So there's a lot of changes, but I'm glad that my core team have stayed intact.
I was going to say, if you're not allowed extra hours, obviously a tournament dictates sometimes with weather and schedules that you can't fit that in between the core hours. Have you got staff in place and permission in place to be able to deal with that? How are you dealing with that?
So we have got some seasonal staff that are supported by the LTA for the event, which will help out. I mean, in the nicest sense, they're non-skilled labour, but you know, more hands makes it light work. We're prioritising areas, so. All I can say, it's a real challenge, and there's going to be failures. Where them failures are, I'm not sure on all of them yet, but where they are, you raise them as a risk. You move it, you know, nicely put, up the chain of command and say, these are the areas identified as risk concerns. How do you wish to manage it? That's all we can do, unfortunately. And in the meantime with that, it's too easy, like we used to do, the 60 days back to back. I mean, it's just, we can't do that, shouldn't be doing that. So there comes that trade-off between, this is actually what you get for what you pay. So it's real tough, because I keep saying it, but that professional pride, everyone wants to do their absolute best. They want to achieve the very best they can achieve. And if you sort of hold people back on that, it's demotivating, it's demoralizing. But, you know, that's our biggest challenge. I think we're going to be okay. And like I say, the LTA this year have sort of supported us, and the two seasonal lads that we've got working with us have been absolutely stonking, been really looked after, so I'm very grateful.
You say you've pushed it up the chain of command there and made people aware. What response have you had?
Some. That's all I can say. Some. It's funny how many emails get put in people's deleted box without reading. It's a very good question, this one, because ultimately Eastbourne can't afford the event, and I'm not being controversial with that. They can't afford it, but they can't afford not to have it, because they understand exactly what it does. We're a destination resort, so if you're not going to have anything to come for, you can't be a destination resort. So politically, everyone understands the benefit of it. There's also legal agreements in place to stage it. So people understand the risks. And I've said this hundreds of times. We all do this. We're all managing risk. Because if you're not managing risk, what are you doing? So you pass it up, and it's up to, nicely put, it's up to others to actually see the risk and whether or not it trumps any other risks they have.
Danny, so we wish you luck with the next few weeks. We hope those risks that you've identified all just go away and don't trouble you. And I look forward to catching up with you again soon, fella. Thanks again.
Brilliant to speak to you, Martin. Take care.